Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. My name is Don Daniel, founder of Pill Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And today we are not in the Pill Method room. We're actually in the Mortgage Syndicate house today. But please, if you want to know more information about how mortgages and other loans actually work, I mean the truth about it, because listen, we're paying, listen to this, at least 75% more interest than you actually need to pay. I'm not talking about the interest rate. I'm talking about how much interest you actually pay on these loans only because we have not been taught how they work. And this is what this show is all about. Finding out how they work so that you don't have to pay all of that interest. So you want to also click on my avatar here and join the Pill Method house so that you can get all the juicy information about how you can pay off all of your debt. That's if you want to, in an average of 7 to 9 years, by understanding how you don't have to pay all of that interest. So I have two people up here on the stage. I need I need a few more, whether you say something about this or not, because some of you want to know, how can I get a mortgage at a 75% discount? All right. I need some more people in here that need to know how they can get a mortgage at 75% off. Can I get at least three more people on the stage? All right. Can I get at least three more people on the stage? All right. Raise your hand. Come on up. Let's have, okay, Miss Renee. Come on, Miss Renee. I love it. I love it. Let's invite Miss Renee up to speak. All right. And who else? Who else can I get up here? Who else can I get up here? Who else can I get? All right. I got Miss Renee. I got Miss Nina. I got Doctor, how do you pronounce your name so I get it right?
Dr. Udom.
Dr. Udom. All right. Thank you so much for coming up. All right. I got Ree that wants to come up. Invite to speak. Okay. Come on up, Ree. All right. So all right. I need two more people. Two more people. Okay. Two more people. All right. Victor, come on up. All right. Invite to speak, Victor. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. All right. Listen, folks, I'm so glad that you're here. Okay. Dr. Udom, I'm going to start with you. Good morning to you. And do you have a question or a comment, or what would you like to say this morning?
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how to get 75% discount so I can buy some more houses.
I heard that. Okay. So now I have a link. I have a link in the chat. I have a link in the chat. So you want to see the numbers I'm getting ready to put on the screen. So everybody who's coming into the room, make sure this doesn't make sense if you can't see it. Now, you may be in a position where you can't see it today. You know, you're not in a position to pull up another phone or a laptop or a tablet, and I can't see the numbers right now. Well, it's going to be on YouTube. Go to the Pill Method channel, go to YouTube and search for the Pill Method channel, and you'll be able to see everything that you can't see right now. All right. So, Dr. Udom, we're going to get into that right now. Ree, talk to us this morning. And why are you here this morning?
Hi, thank you for inviting me to the stage. Hopefully guys can hear me. I'm
Yes,
breaking up a little bit.
we hear you.
But yeah, I'm definitely trying to purchase another home, right? Probably in the next 6 to 8 months. And I just wanted to get more information. I can't see the visual today, but I'll definitely go online when I get an opportunity. And then ultimately, I wanted to know, what are your thoughts about NACA whenever you get an opportunity? They're having a big open house in Houston this coming weekend, and I was considering attending that, driving and attending that. So that's just kind of.
We can talk about that. Let me write that down. All right. Because I got to put my notes in here. NACA. Okay. We're going to cover that. All right. Who's next?
Yeah.
Nina. Miss Nina, go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm a licensed broker. I have a brokerage here in New York. We do a lot of business, and NACA is one of the programs that I often refer to. Clients, but the one thing I will tell you about NACA is that it is a long game product. It is not a short game product, and it is not a second home product. So you have to be on your first home. You can't own any property at that time, and it's going to take you anywhere from 6 months to a year to complete. the program to get that product. But if you have that type of lead time, I think it's a great product.
There you go. That's what I was going to say about it. It is a long-term thing. All right. And so, Miss Nina, okay, I have, wait a second here. I want to go in order. We have another Renee up top. Miss Renee. All right. And you have Ree as your name underneath your picture there. Ree,
Hello, good morning,
good morning
everyone.
to you.
Hi. Did Nina say NACA?
Yes. NACCA.
It's 1C, let me correct you,
Oh,
NACA.
I'm
Sorry,
sorry. I'm sorry.
NACA.com. I'm not who brought it up, but I am familiar with the product. I don't know who brought it up, but it is. So the benefits of a NACA loan are as follows. I can give you the pros and cons. I don't want to take over your room, so if you had something else to talk about, I can
Listen,
wait it
this
out.
room, this room cannot exist without questions. Okay. So we're going to start with
So,
with
so
with what the people want to hear.
some key pros and some key cons about a NACA. Let's start off with the pros. The pros is the interest rate. NACA historically always offers refinances and mortgages that are below the usual interest rate. So if market interest rate is somewhere around 7 or 8%, NACA tends to hover around the 3-4%. The second thing is that they have a built-in down payment assistance program. So it's income based, what you pay for your down payment. And they base your affordability based upon what you're currently paying in rent. So if you are paying, you have to show 12 months of rent payments. But if you're paying, let's say $1,000, I don't know where you live in the country, I'm just throwing numbers out there. If you're paying $1,000 a month for rent for the last 12 months, in there, regardless of what your income is, they will calculate you at $1,000 per month mortgage payment as what's affordable to you. So you're guaranteed to get a mortgage payment of at least what your current rent is, if that makes sense to you, right? Which could increase the type of house the amount of house you're approved for, if that makes sense. Um, and the third thing that's really good about them is that there's no income limit. So if you are a high income individual, while you may have to pay your own down payment, you could still lock in those lower interest rates. The only restriction for that is where you can buy. So if you're in the lower income spectrum, they don't have a place like a zip code restriction. But if you are a higher income individual, you will have a zip code restriction. The cons are it is a long-term product. They want you to financial plan and they want you to financial plan underneath their tutelage. So it's going to take you 6 months to a year to complete all of their classes and all of their information. The second con is that you cannot access the equity of your home as long as you are in a NACA loan. Doesn't mean your home doesn't build equity. It means you can't get a HELOC. You can't do any secondary financing. None of that is allowed under NACA. You would have to refinance completely out of their program into a different product, which might mean that your interest rates change altogether and your mortgage payments would change altogether, if that makes sense, right? The third thing about NACA that is a con is if you are in the income range where they deem you, they have zip code restrictions. The goal of NACA is to empower people who are of a certain socioeconomic space to purchase and become homeowners. However, whenever you're outside of that continuum that they have, they will still assist you. They will just tell you where you can buy at. And the purpose of that is, historically and statistically speaking, if you can get people who make a certain amount of money into certain neighborhoods and purchasing in those neighborhoods, then it's shown that those neighborhoods increase in quality of life. You bring your rich friends over there, right? So they will allow you to buy at a lower interest rate over there, but you can't, let's say, I know New York, I don't know other cities and towns like that, but let's say Scarsdale, which is a very sought after upscale Westchester County place to live. If you were a high income individual, you couldn't buy in Scarsdale. But if you were a low income individual, you would be allowed to use your pre-approval in Scarsdale, if that makes sense to people. So that's another con. So length of time, The difference in whether or not you can buy or not, it's not, they do have some control over that. And the last thing would be, oh, wait, there's another pro. You can buy a multifamily using NACA. People think it's only for single family homes. You can buy a multifamily home. You just have to take some additional courses, which empowers you to start your real estate journey, not only as an owner, but as an investor. But you cannot, and I underline not, you cannot currently own property and use NACA at all. If you own a home, you will be rejected. If you own a home, a condo, a co-op, any type of ownership, you will not be allowed into the program.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, any more information that we need about NACA? All right, Nina, thank you so much. Listen, adding value like that. Come on now, where have you been? Okay, I haven't seen you before.
I've been here sometimes, but y'all just be going so fast. I'll be getting ready for work, y'all.
You say you're like what my wife says. How come folks be on Clubhouse all day and still make money?
Yeah, because I have y'all in my AirPods, and then I just, if I have to work too hard to jump in, I just don't jump in. But I'm getting ready for work right now. I got to meet a client right now.
I heard that. Thank you so much for your contribution today. But please stay on the stage, and if you hear anything that you want to talk about, please do. So I have Miss D Page, who is here this morning. Miss D, how are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Listen, I came into the room and it is on fire this morning. Nina really had an amazing share there on NACA. As you know, I've been doing this a long time, and she was able to shed some insight there on things I hadn't even heard of. So, Nina, I super appreciate that amazing share that you just had. So, I just wanted to quickly introduce myself, guys. I'm Donna Page. I'm a multidisciplinary real estate investor. Been doing this for about 30 years, and probably has sort of tiptoed through almost every aspect of real estate. But every time ICE opens up a room, I always want to come in because, I grab my pencil and paper, and there's always something that I learn about how to, leverage debt to increase our net worth and create some generational wealth. So just here to help wherever I can. Thanks so much, ICE.
Thank you, Miss Nina. All right. So have we heard from Dr. Udom? Did you get a chance to elaborate on everything that you wanted to talk about this morning?
Yeah, I'm just here to be a listening ear and learn as much as I can.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Victor, I see you came to the stage. Do you have a question or a comment this morning?
No, I just came to support, listen. If I come up with a question, I know I'll be able to ask it at some point. But I went through this process with you maybe about 2 weeks ago or so, and fascinated, and I kind of wanted to hear it again and just go through it again. So.
All right. Now, somebody asked online, is there a way to mute YouTube so we can listen on Clubhouse? It's tough if you're using the same device. If you're using the same device, it's tough. You really want to try to use two devices. All right. If you have Clubhouse on your phone, then pull up on your computer or a secondary phone or on a tablet. You can go to YouTube and watch it. Just turn down the volume. Now, if you're on the same device, what you're going to have to do is somehow there's a way to mute the audio on YouTube. You got to click that little speaker thing and put a line through it. It's a difficult process. And to tell you the truth, Doctor, I don't know how, Dr. Ricardo, I don't know how to explain how to do that in a short period of time, because people want to jump right in to what we're talking about this morning. Okay, so thank you, Doc. Listen, come up to the stage, if you want, I appreciate you. Come up to the stage if you want. All right. And you may want to ask some questions. All right. So we'll Doc, thank you for that question. All right. He's putting a thumbs up. He says, "Don, I don't want to talk to you right now."
Not true, brother. Not true. Not true, man. Just appreciate you. I want you to have as much time as possible to drop the gems you have, man.
All right, so let's go ahead, folks. Let's go ahead and share the screen right now because there's some things that we absolutely need to know about how mortgages really work. All right, how mortgages really work. And I'm going to share something that I've never shared before. Every now and then, because we have a total masterclass on this. Every now and then, I share some information from the masterclass for free that I've never shared anything before. So here's what I want to ask everybody on stage. When I make a mortgage payment, can somebody break down the mortgage payment and then tell me what happens with that money? Let's say my mortgage payment is $2,000. Tell me what happens with that $2,000 once I pay it. Can somebody help me understand a mortgage payment from your point of view?
I feel like I have a cheat code. I'm gonna let somebody else answer.
No, Nina, go ahead.
So you're gonna be paying your taxes, your insurance. Depends on the type of mortgage you have, right? But
Right.
most mortgages include your taxes, your insurance. Sometimes it includes your homeowner's insurance as well.
Mhm.
PMI insurance is the insurance that I'm talking about. I'm sorry. It could include your homeowner's insurance depending on the product that you have.
Let's narrow it down, Miss Nita. I'm just talking about the principal and interest right now.
Oh, so you're paying your interest, you're paying your principal, and you're paying your taxes typically in your mortgage payment.
Okay, so it's broken down. So when we're talking about the principal and the interest, when you make your mortgage payment, let's just say we're not escrowing. All right, we're not going to escrow. We're just going to make the PI payment, the principal and interest. So what happens? Help us to understand from your point of view what happens when you pay that $2,000 in principal and interest. What happens?
Like all good loans, they front load the interest payments. So depending on where you're at in your mortgage, at the beginning of your mortgage, you're paying more interest than principal. And towards the end of your mortgage, you're paying the principal.
All right. So here's now I got Katura Fleming online who's watching us on YouTube. And she's saying that interest is taken out first and the remainder goes to principal. All right. How many agree with that today? Interest is taken out first and the remainder goes to principal. And Melanie McRae says she's watching us on Instagram. On LinkedIn. She says, and the lender gets paid their interest first. All right. Does everybody agree with that? All right. I got so let me tell you, can I explain to you what really happens? I'm going to put it in form of a question first. Okay. And this may be a revelation to everyone because this is the new thing that we're going to talk about today to understand how we can get our loans at 75% off. Okay. So a lot of these mortgages, in fact, most of them, if not all of them, are sold on the secondary market as soon after they're closed. So I'm an investor. I'm an investor who bought your mortgage. Your mortgage payment is $2,000. Your mortgage payment is $2,000, and I'm an investor that just bought that mortgage. All right. So when you pay it, that money comes to me now because I now own it. All right. So out of your $2,000, okay, when you pay your $2,000, how much of that money do I get as an investor? Somebody tell me. Horace Jenner says, good morning from Virginia. Thank you, Horace, for saying good morning. All right. So I'm an investor. You just paid $2,000 mortgage payment. How much of that money comes to me? What do I get? You see, when I ask it that way, it's not very easy to answer that question, is it? As an investor, guess what? I get all $2,000. I just bought your mortgage. So when you pay your mortgage, I get all $2,000. Now, does anybody want to ask, how is that? How can that be? Does anybody want to ask me, how can that be? Does this make sense or not make sense?
How can that be?
How can that be? So, Dr. Udo, can I ask you a question? Does that seem kind of off to you that as an investor, I would get all $2,000?
I mean, I'm still new to this, so I'm sure there's a whole bunch of back channel things that people are doing that I have. That's why I'm in this room. So educate me.
Well, listen, listen. I love to find out where people are in the process. Okay, and when you say, "Here's what I thought," guess what? 99% of the people that are in this room have the same thoughts. So I like it when people share their thoughts so that we can so that we can talk about how we're thinking, and then we can talk about how it really is, because we're encouraged, Dr. Udom, we're encouraged to think a certain way about these loans. Okay? So tell me what you're thinking.
I just had my mortgage sold over, or what is it? Yeah, someone else just bought it. That's happened like what, 4 times already? It's only been like, well, no, not in this mortgage. I have another one that sold 4 times. This one is the second time in 2 years. And so now I guess I'm going to learn, how it is. And I guess these are investors that are coming up and purchasing these mortgages. So I'm trying to figure out, like, how can I be purchasing a mortgage?
Listen,
Receiving 100%.
Dr. Udom, by the time I'm done with this, we're going to get together and we're going to stop buying property. We're going to start buying up these mortgages. Okay. Because one of the things that you want to take a look at, everybody, is mortgage-backed securities. Mortgage-backed securities. Because number one, when Wells Fargo or Chase or any bank, all right, sells you a mortgage, do you believe right now that Chase or Regions or any bank that has a mortgage department, do you believe they make their money off mortgage interest?
Absolutely not.
No,
they do not. You're right. They do not make their money.
They make their money off of the origination fees, and then they make the money off of selling your mortgage to a second party.
Come on now. All right. That's what happens, ladies and gentlemen. The bank makes their money off the fees and then selling your mortgage at a premium to an investor. Now the investor has it. All right. And so now when you pay your mortgage, all of your money goes to the investor. All $2,000 goes to the investor. All right. So we're going to
question, Nice.
Go ahead.
If the investor has the mortgage and you foreclose on that, then is that property the investors then?
When you mean you stop paying the mortgage?
Yeah.
No.
So they don't own the property. They're just dealing with the numbers.
They're just dealing with the numbers.
They own the debt.
Yeah.
So what happens is that, so if you've ever been through a foreclosure process, oftentimes you will see that your property they'll send you notice after notice of your property changing hands and who's servicing the loan changing hands. And that's because when they're foreclosing, because some debt they sell the bad debt to someone else who attempts to correct the debt, and then they sell it again, and then the initial holder will often foreclose because they're who holds the asset.
There we go.
Gotcha. So there's the debt and there's a deed, and they aren't connected.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's debt
Cool.
service. They're selling the debt service. So again, when you make your mortgage payments, right, you have interest that you're paying. I'm sorry, you have your interest and then you have your principal. The interest is going to whoever's servicing the debt, meaning collecting your payments, right? But the collateral that backs the debt doesn't necessarily change hands.
Now, here's what happens, ladies and gentlemen. I need you to see this. I've got a mortgage on the screen right now. I'm going to put it on there so that everybody can see. I got to change up my change this up. Boom. All right. And we're going to add another. There we go. There it is. $350,000 at 7.5%. Listen, I'm listening to the rumblings. I keep my ear to the ground. Do you know they're already talking about interest rates going into 8%? Yeah. Now, to tell you the truth, I kind of like the higher interest rates, but that's another story. That's another show. And if everyone's asking me why I like the higher interest rates, I'll be glad to talk to you about that. But here's what happens. We're just talking about this mortgage payment is $2,447.25. Okay. Now, what happens with this mortgage is that it's broken down at $259.75 goes to principal. $2,187.50 goes to interest. But what I'm saying that the investor gets all $2,447.25. The investor gets all of that money. So how then should we look at it? If the investor is getting all of the money, how should we look at it then about how does money go to principal and how much goes to interest? It's a math problem. So somehow in our mind, we were thinking $259 actually got paid to the mortgage company to reduce how much I owe. It doesn't work like that at all. It's a math problem. And no money is exchanging hands at all, except to the investor who bought the mortgage. The exchange is from you to the investor. Now, what happens with the amortization schedule is totally separate. Totally separate. So with the amortization schedule, you are credited $259.75. But $259.75 actually didn't go to a separate place. And $2,187.50 didn't actually go to a separate place. What happens is that the math says the way that this the amortization schedule is created is from a formula. And what the formula says is that we get to charge you 360 times, because that is the contract that you sign. But each time you make a payment, a little more money gets credited to principal, a little less money gets credited to the interest each time. So on the first payment you see here, $259 goes to principal. On the second payment, $261 goes to principal. On the third payment, $263 goes to principal, and you get less and less interest until towards the end, I'm going down to $360, where $2,432.98 goes to principal and $15 goes to interest. But out of this money, the investor gets all $2,447.25 each and every time. Then, folks, if that's the case, what's really going on behind the scenes here? What we need to understand is, even though the contract says if you keep our money for 360 payments, this is how we're going to credit your principal. This is how we're going to credit interest. If you keep it if you keep that mortgage for 360 payments. But guess what? Do we have to keep it for all 360 payments? That's the question.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Okay? Absolutely not. So what's going on here? So let's break down what happens first, and then we can get into how it all comes together, where we can get our borrow money at a discount. Okay? All right. So here's what we're looking at. So I got $350,000 that I'm borrowing. I'm bringing over my calculator here. My interest rate is 7.75%. I'm sorry, 7.5%. So the number that the algorithm uses, or the formula uses, is they take 1/12 of this interest rate. So they take the interest rate and divide it by 12. Divide that by 12. And then this is the number that they're using. I take that back. 7.5. Okay, 7.5. And your interest rate as a decimal is 0.075. 0.075. That's your interest rate. Then the bank's computers take that and then divide that by 12. When they divide that by 12, here's what you get. 0.00625. This is the number that the bank uses every single month. You have their money. Okay? Every single month you have their money. And what it really is a promise to pay. A promise to pay. You signed a note that says, I will pay you back with interest, this much interest for as long as I have this note. All right. So we're going to take that 0.00625 and then multiply that by the $350,000 and times 350,000. Okay. Equals $2,187.50. If we take a look at the first interest payment, look at there, $2,187.50. Now, once you make that payment, okay, and this is all happening inside the algorithm, it has nothing to do with how much money the investor is receiving, because the investor receives all the money. What the investor wants to know is, how many months am I going to receive this money? How many months can I receive it? The investor says, I would love to receive this for the next 360 months. I would love that. In fact, when you look at mortgage-backed securities, I need you to look this up later. I need you to write this down and look it up. Look up mortgage-backed securities and then put into your search engine mortgage-backed securities and managing, all right, and managing prepayment. I need you to look at the number of articles that pop up when you see mortgage-backed securities. These are people that buy our mortgages for investment purposes, and then all of the math that they go through to figure out how much money they're going to lose along the way due to prepayment. These people who buy these mortgages, they are very, very afraid of prepayment. They're more afraid of prepayment than they are of default. They're more afraid of prepaying this mortgage instead of you defaulting. Now, can somebody tell me why they believe that to be true?
Because they make the bulk of their profits on this interest up front, that preloaded the interest that's on those first several payments are, I mean, we're looking at this multiples of the principal buy down. So this is really, really enlightening.
Okay, so here's what's happening. Go ahead, Miss Nina. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say because they have to pay you back when you do a prepayment, because they've collected interest that they had not yet actually accrued. So now when you prepay, they owe you money, which is why oftentimes you will see a prepayment penalty included in your mortgage to discourage you from paying it back before a certain time period so that they won't have to return your money.
Miss Nina, would you do me a favor and write down prepayment penalties? Because once I get through with this, it takes some time to get through with this demonstration, but let's bring up prepayment penalties once it's all done. Can somebody help us to do that? Miss Nina, can we do that? Okay.
I'll put it in the chat for you.
All right, great. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Statistically, most of you will pay your mortgage every single month. Statistically, you're going to pay that mortgage. Statistically, very few people will default. If you look at all the mortgages that were ever done, and they look at that, and so they're in a system where, listen, it's almost a sure thing that most of you are going to pay your mortgages. That's why I invest in mortgage-backed securities. Listen, if it was a 50-50 proposition, do you think they could sell these mortgage-backed securities? Yeah, maybe they'll pay and maybe they won't. 50-50. Do you think it's 50-50? Or do you think it's more like 99% and 1%? Or 95% and 5%? Listen, folks, most of us are going to pay. And that's why people buy up these mortgage-backed securities. So here's what happens. When the algorithm, all right, and let me show that, okay? Let me show you. Let me see. Amortization formula. There it is. Amortization formula. Boom. Okay, I'm putting that. Here's the formula. Okay, this formula is really a step down formula. It figures out how much interest you owe, but it also figures out how much principal is going to be credited to your situation each and every month. And with the amount of principal that's credited to your loan balance, that determines how many payments you are actually going to make. That's what does this. How much money is credited to principal will determine how many loan payments you make. Then it makes it attractive for investors to say, how many months am I going to get this $2,447.25? Because I get it all. I don't get just the interest. I get it all. The interest calculation just makes sure that when I get all of this money, and now $259.75 is now credited to the principal pay down of the loan. Now I'm making money. I'm still making the same amount of money, ladies and gentlemen, but here's the thing. The interest is now based on $349,740.25. So they're going to take that money. They're going to take their little calculator out again. They're going to take the 0.075 divided by 12 again, divided by 12, and they're going to take their little 0.00625. This is the number that runs everything on this 7.5% loan. This number right here, 0.00625. And then now they're going to multiply it by the 349,740.25. So we multiply it by 349,740.25 equals $2,185.87.876. So they have to round up that 7 to the 8. And if you look at the amortization schedule, $2,185.88. So I pay less interest. So what's credited to me is the exact amount of interest that I'm paying less. That number goes over to the principal side, and now I get credited $261.37. But that money never actually went anywhere because the investor got the whole thing. I get credited $261.37, which means all this means is I've made 2 payments out of 360. That's all that means. And because of the way that the exchange between principal and interest happens, if I let that happen 360 times, then the investor can count on getting $2,447.25 from me for 360 payments or 30 years. And why does the investor want that? Because by the time it's done, they will receive total interest paid on this loan, $531,000 in interest on a $350,000 investment, totaling $888 $81,000. So why wouldn't people, if most people are going to pay, why wouldn't people invest in mortgage-backed securities if most people are going to pay? Yeah, most people pay. And this is what I'm going to get as a return on my money. I get to call it 7.5%. But when it comes right down to it, I'm going to receive 151% of the money borrowed. 151.717% is what I, as an investor, I'm going to be able to receive as a as a reward for buying up this paper. So listen, folks, here's what we can do about that. If we take a look at how the loan breaks down, if we know we're not really receiving $259, we're not really receiving that. We just get credited that. Can everybody agree with that? Yes or no? Can everybody agree that we're not actually receiving $259? We're not receiving that, but we get credited that, and it's treated as potential equity. All right, we can agree with that. Great. All right. So now, what if now this is paying back the bank the way they want the investor, the way that the investor wants to be paid back. So this system was all set up. The first amortized mortgage was in 1936. The first amortized mortgage was done in 1936. It was a 20-year loan. It was done by the government. But they also had investors lined up because the government did not want to be in the mortgage industry. They had to pull us out of the Great Depression. So they had these investors lined up and says, listen, we got these things, 20-year loans. And you're going to be able to get this money for the next 20 years. And when you read the history on this, there were two things that they were concerned about. Default. They were concerned about default because it was a depression. Okay. And they were concerned about, can I get my long-term interest payments? Listen, I got a whole thing on this. I've already done a history on this. Go back through the P.I.L.L method on the YouTube channel, and then search for the history of amortization. And I go through the whole story for you. Okay. So now, so they're looking at, can I get my long-term interest payments? That's what they're looking at. But guess how they ensured that they would get long-term interest payments? Are you ready to hear it? Here is how they ensured this. How many of you, whether you're in the retail space where you're just buying something, or you are a real estate agent, or you are a mortgage professional, how many of you actually have had a class on how amortization schedules actually work and how you can make them benefit you? How many have ever had that class? Let me put it this way. Have you ever had the class, put a Y or an N in the chat? If you ever had that class, say yes or no. Yes or no if you've had that class. D Page says no. No. Doc says no. So do you realize, if you stop to think about it, ladies and gentlemen, we have a system set up so that people can make money, and we don't know how the doggone thing actually works. We've never been taught. All we know is I got a payment I can afford, okay? And when I ask questions at the closing table, if I have a 7.5% interest rate, why am I paying $531,000 in interest on a $350,000 loan? Because $531,000 certainly does not look like 7.5% of 350. It doesn't look like that. And then we get an explanation that is not adequate, but keeps the process of signing all the documents flowing so we can close on this loan. And because nobody else knows about it, no real red flags go up, because our friends do it, our family members do it, everybody we know, Everybody we know gets a mortgage this way without understanding how it really works and what's really happening. The investor gets all of the money, and the crediting of what goes to principal and goes to interest happens in a computer, period. And it determines how many of those payments the investor is going to get. Now, let's show you how easy it is. The reason why the investors do so much math on the prepayment problem, because they look at it as a problem if you prepay. This is why you don't know how the thing works. We have never been taught. It's not taught in schools. It's not taught. Listen, even in graduate school, at the Wharton School of Business, this thing is not taught. How this thing actually works. Okay? Listen, I got Flame Newton in the room. All right? Flame, listen, in all of your dealings with credit, I mean, flying around the country, going to speaking to hundreds, thousands of people, all right? And I mean, even attending classes. Has anybody in any of those venues ever broken down how an amortization schedule actually works and how the bank makes their money through interest? Have they ever broken that down?
Actually, they have. And it was broken down by a guy named, oh, let me read this. I got it in my notes. It was a guy named Don Daniels. He's going to talk about it. Don Daniels, that's what his name was.
You need to stop. Okay. But folks, here's what we're talking about today. So I'm going to show you why this is not taught. All right. From the investor point of view, so that your mortgage will look inviting to an investor. Okay. I'm going to break down what I call micro interest charges. All right. Are you ready? Here we go. Now, when I make this mortgage payment, let's say I make this mortgage payment that I got on the screen. I make that in January. All right. I make it in January. But I can see if I follow this program, if I follow the bank's program and pay according to their timing, my next principal payment will be $261.37. That's what I'm going to pay in February. All right. And the interest that I'm going to pay, I'm thinking of it as money I pay, not money I get credited. Okay. I'm thinking about money that I pay instead of money that I get credited. So I got $2,185.88 that I pay to interest. Okay. Now here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. This thing is all laid out for 360 payments, and I could follow it if I choose to. But there's $261.37. Do I have to wait till February to give that to the bank? If I make my first payment in January, do I have to wait till February to give the bank $261.37? Yes or no?
No.
No, I do not. If I have it, Miss Nina, can I give it to them early?
Absolutely.
It's called a prepayment, ladies and gentlemen, and it's written right into your contract. You have the right to prepay. But guess what? There's nothing in that contract that says we have to teach you what prepayment will actually do for you. Okay? We don't have to teach you that. So here's what happens. If I pay, so now I get credited $259.71 to 75, and then in the same month, I'm going to get credited $261.37. That's going to get subtracted from what I owe. And so now in the month of January, this is what shows. I owe $349,478.88. So now what they have to do is they're going to charge me interest on the $349,478, not the $349,740. So we take our 0.075 divided by 12 again. Now we have 0.00625, and now they're going to multiply it by my new principal amount because I gave them a principal, what's called a principal prepayment. And in your documents, it says every single dollar that you give prepaid all of it is applied to the balance you owe. All of that money, every single dime of that money goes to the balance you owe. So now, none of that money goes to interest. All right. So it's 349, 748. So we're going to multiply it by the new number of 349,478.88 equals 22,184.24. Look, it's the interest on line 3. So I went from payment number 1 down to payment number 3. What happened to payment number 2, everybody? What happened to payment number 2? What happened to that? You see, for the investor, they're looking at 360 payments, monthly payments. And in those monthly payments, oh my goodness, in those monthly payments, I get $2,447.25, 360 times. That's what I'm looking forward to because I'm the investor that bought your loan. I get $2,447.25 because that's the payment. But what you did, consumer, you paid $261.37 ahead of time. Doggone ya. And you skipped one of my payments. I don't get that now. So the amount of money that just got reduced of the interest that I'm looking for is a whole $2,185.88 because I'm counting on a 360-month payment program. And you just turned it into 359 payments because you decided to pay $261.37 early. Folks, is this beginning to make sense? These are what I call the micro interest costs, because the micro interest costs are the most expensive. Now, you think micro, you would think least. No, micro means drilling down deep into the situation where you make every single mortgage payment for 360 months. Victor is here. All right. I see you. I see you, Victor. All right. I see you, Art Score, who's watching us on YouTube. If you are watching us, if you're here in Clubhouse, here's what you do, ladies and gentlemen. I need you to go to, I'm going to copy the link. All right. Copy the link so that you can watch this on YouTube as well. At the same time, you're listening to us here on Clubhouse. I'm putting that back in. There you go. All right. Now, I'm going to stop right here. And because I don't want to overload people with this information, I got more. But are there any questions or any comments about what we've gone over so far? Questions or comments? From the audience, come up to the stage. From the people who are on the stage already, question or comments about what we just went over. Does it make sense? If this makes sense, okay. Oh, hey, come on, Doc, come to me. Question or comments about what we just turn the volume down on your computer, Doc.
Done.
Yes.
Quick question. So you could always pay several of those payments. Nothing says you can only pay one. You could actually pay several, correct?
Well, yes, I guess you could, Doc. You talk about the principal payments.
Exactly. I'm talking about the principal. I could
right.
pay several of those if I chose to, if I had the capital, right?
You most certainly could. So, Doc, what would happen? What would happen if we made our mortgage payment in January? Okay, took a look at now that we understand what's really going on, the investor gets all of the money. All right. But they get all of the money only if I keep this schedule. What if I take a look at this and I say, well, what about the principal payment on line 2, 3, and 4? That's a little over $700, Doc. A a little over $700, right? What would happen to the interest payments on line 2, 3, and 4? What would happen?
I would be paying a greater amount of principal and a lower amount of interest subsequently.
Right. And if I could give them the principal on line 2, 3, and 4, what payment am I on my amortization schedule? If I start at payment number 1, I give them the principal for 2, 3, and 4. What payment am I on now on my schedule?
I think it's payment 5.
Exactly. Exactly. Do you see now, ladies and gentlemen, why real estate investors, why people who invest in mortgage-backed securities, you just removed 4 payments they were looking at receive. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 3 payments that they were looking at receiving. You just removed that by prepaying this money. Do you see why we don't know how this works? Because this idea of buying the mortgage paper from the banks has to always, always, always look attractive to the investors. And if you knew that such a small amount of money could eliminate one payment and all of this doggone interest, if you knew that, you would be doing something about it. So Doc, you're looking at this thing. You're looking at this thing. I need you to take a look at cumulative principal and cumulative interest for me. That's column 3 and column 4. All right. Can you work with me here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in 1 year, all right, how much? I'm going to stop saying pay. I'm going to start using the word credited. Okay, for this particular class, how much money gets credited to principal in 1 year? That's line 12. We're looking at column 3. And if you're talking, we can't hear you, Doc.
Well, I'm trying to total up.
No. Look at column 3. That's cumulative principal. We're totaling it up. This totals it up for you.
26,000.
No. That's cumulative interest. That's column 4.
Oh yeah. Okay. At 3,000. It looks like $3,226.
Exactly. So here's what happens with this loan, ladies and gentlemen. This is why the investors love it. I get all of that money. I get all the money. I get the whole payment every single month for 12 months. But you only get to credit $3,226 to the payoff of the loan. How much how much money have I received already in interest? If I look at the total amount, I'm going to get over and above what you borrowed. How much interest now is credited to the interest column in 12 months, Doc? Cumulative interest.
Looks like $26,140.
So, Doc, why aren't we buying mortgage-backed securities? Why aren't we in the lending business? Why is everybody trying to buy houses?
Because they're wasting our time with trigonometry and calculus, when in fact it should be this stuff, man.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen. So if I own this, that means you guys are going to pay me, and I'm going to be able to get this money for a long time because only $3,226.41 was deducted from how much you owe. So that means many more times I get to charge you the whole thing. It has to do with the number of times you have to pay the $2,447.25. That's what this is all about. This is all it's about. How many times you have to pay this? And you are in complete control of how many times you get charged the whole mortgage payment of $2,447.25. So, Doc, now that you're with me, this is all the principal payments added up for 1 year, correct?
Correct.
So, Do I have to give them this money, the $3,226? Do I have to give it to them in 12 monthly installments?
No, I do not.
Really? So if I have that money, you mean I could give it to them all at one time?
I guess
You
so.
sure can.
Oh my
Guess
goodness.
so.
Wait a second. We have 350,000. 350,000. Okay. Listen, folks, I'm not a strong math person. I have what's called Asperger's. Okay. It's autism spectrum disorder. So I'm not a strong math person. I see things in pictures and puzzles. So my puzzle solving mind says if I owe 350,000 and you've already added up how much goes to principal over 12 months, what if I just subtract the 3,226.41 all in 1 month? So I'm going to subtract $3,226.41 in 1 month. It comes to $346,773.59. Look here. $346,773.59. That's exactly what is on line 12. So I can let the investor charge me my whole mortgage payment for 12 months so I can get credited $3,226.41 after 12 months, which means now I have to pay them for 29 more years, or I can give them this money up front and let's see what happens. So now if I'm at payment number 1 and I give them this money up front, I'm paid down to here. Okay, I'm paid down to here. So now they have to charge me interest. The interest charge gets charged on this number. Oh, okay. See, let's see what happens. All right. So we're going to take our 0.075 divided by 12 again. And I get my 0.00625. And now I have to multiply it by the 346,773.59 because that's what the computer sees. Okay. It can't charge me on any of these other ones because the computer never saw these numbers. It only saw this one. Okay. So now it's charged me that 346,773.59 equals $2,167.33. Oh, isn't that the interest cost on line 13? Are you telling me, Doc? Come on, Doc, you got to help me out here. Are you telling me if I gave the bank that money on line 1, I just knocked off a whole year's worth of payments and that investor can't charge me now?
That's amazing.
Are you seeing why we're not getting this information up front? Are you seeing why we don't understand what's going on behind the scenes?
We're being had, brother. We're being took.
Listen. Do you see this amortization schedule? Now, this amortization schedule is from Brett Whistle, B-R-E-T. Somebody put it in the chat for me. B-R-E-T is his first name. Last name Whistle, W-H-I-S-S-E-L. BrettWhistle.net. This is a teaching tool that I use. And the reason why I use this is because when you get an amortization schedule from the bank, you only get 3 columns. You get principal, you get interest, and you get principal balance. That's all you get. But you don't get cumulative principal. You don't get cumulative interest because we're not supposed to be checking on how much interest is actually being paid on these things. So the whole algorithm is set up so that you will pay a certain number of payments, but the investor is going to get their money. Do you want to see? You know, I can prove this. Does anybody want to see the proof on it? All right, put a number 9 in the chat as Flame would say. Put a number 9 in the chat if you want me to prove it to you that no matter what you do here, the investor's going to get their money. All right, put a number 9 in the chat. All right. All right. So now, this is a 30-year loan. Okay. This is a 30-year loan. We're going to duplicate this tab, and let me do this. I don't want a 30-year loan. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to have not 360 payments. All right. I want to have 300 payments. Do you realize that's now a 25-year mortgage, correct? 25-year mortgage. 25-year mortgage. And calculate. Now my payment is a little bit less. All right. Now, what is the first interest payment on the 30-year mortgage, Doc? What's the first interest payment on the 30-year mortgage?
That was, wait, ask that question one more time.
What is the first interest payment on the 30-year mortgage?
That was $2,187.50.
Now I'm switching out. Now I'm switching over to the 25-year mortgage. Okay. I'm switching over to the 25-year mortgage. And it's going to take some time to switch over for you. Okay. But what is the first interest payment on the 25-year mortgage?
Okay. It looks like $2,187.50.
Exactly. Is that exactly the same?
Yeah, that's exactly the same.
Wait a minute, Doc. Wait a minute, Doc. What if we did this? What if we did this? All right. We don't want the 25-year mortgage. Listen, if I put in 240 payments, that's a 20-year mortgage. All right. 20-year mortgage. We've heard of those, right? So we're going to do 20 on this one. We're going to do 240 payments. Okay. Listen, we don't want to pay all that interest. Okay. So we're going to do this one. Here's our new payment is $2,119.58. But look at our first interest payment on the 20-year mortgage. How much is that?
$2,187.50.
Are you kidding me? Why don't listen? What? The only difference is, ladies and gentlemen, is how much gets credited to principal. That's the only difference. In all three of these loans, whether it's the 30-year loan, the 10-year, the 20-year loan, the 25-year loan, I can take it all the way down to 15 years. In the first 5 to 10 years, the interest payments are virtually the same. Okay, I got 3 mortgages here. One is a 30-year. I'm going to go down 5 years on this loan. The interest payment is $127,996 in the first 5 years. $127,996 on the 25-year loan. 5 years in, it's $126,225. It's virtually the same. Okay, here's $127,996, and then we switch it over. It's $126,252.06. Oh, well, it's got to be way different on the 20-year loan, right? In the first 5 years, Oh, look here, $123,331 versus $126,252 and $127,996. The investor in this system gets their money. It has to always look attractive to the investor. You think it was about you. You think that all these mortgage products were about us. They're not about us. They're about the investor who buys the paper. But what can you do with understanding the rules to the game? By understanding the rules to the game, now you can do what you need to do to make sure that they can't charge you all 360 times. So when you prepay, you're not changing the payment. You're not getting ahead. All you're doing is saying, if I give you this money, I'm just making sure that you can't charge me all 360 times. Is this making sense to everybody now? Because that money never actually goes to principal. Money never actually goes to interest. It's a math problem behind the scenes because the investor gets all of the money. The investors just said, listen, they just cut the time down that I can get this money. It's not 30 years anymore. Because of what they're doing, I got the same amount of money, but I only got it for 9 years. I got $2,447.25, but I got it for 9 years. But even in 9 years, look what they get in 9 years. So let's say they pay it off in 9 years. Okay, the people. This is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 9 years. That's 108 payments. They still made $224,000. Even if you pay it off in 9, they still made. No, they didn't. They didn't get anywhere near that. That's if you make every payment for 9 years, but they didn't get anywhere near $224,000. But they still made enough. They still made enough money to make it worth their while. But what they're trying to do is make sure they want to maximize their earnings. So any investor does. Okay, listen, they would love to make 10% a 10% return. But if I could get 20, if I can get a 20% return, now 10% return, it doesn't look so attractive if I can get 20. You see what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen? They still make money. They're just not making what they thought they were going to make because they were counting on, here's what they were counting on. You can never, ever, 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 you can't ever know how this thing works. Any questions or comments of what we've gone over so far?
So quick question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for the information. Do you become a less attractive prospect for a loan if you do this early payment system?
No. Do you know why?
I guess if anything, it just shows that you are aggressive about paying your loan back, and maybe there's some insurance that protects or something like that.
No, because let's say you did business with Chase Bank. Okay, you did business with Chase Bank. Are you less attractive to Chase Bank because you paid your loan off faster?
Probably not.
No, because they don't depend on your interest, do they? They sold your loan.
No, they don't.
No. So you're not less attractive to Chase Bank. In fact, if you like a lot of my clients who pay their house off in like 6 or 7 or 8 years, they're all done. What they do is they go out and get another house and put a renter in that first house. So are you less attractive to Chase or more attractive?
I think more attractive.
Flame, you had something to say, my brother.
Yeah, because when I was listening to him talk, and I'm gonna tell you where I had confusion at is the point of when you're saying less attractive to the bank, right? To me, I'm looking at it like you've already got the loan. The loan, you already got that. So you can't look less attractive to them if you've already received it. Now, I can understand it clearer if you were saying if they knew that I was getting ready to do this before they gave me the loan, then I can say that. But if they already gave you the loan already, it don't matter how they look at you. You already got the loan at that point.
Come on, my brother. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. So how much information? Listen, have you gotten a lot of, first of all, if you got a lot of information today, put a fire emoji in the chat. Put a fire emoji in the chat if you got a lot of information today that you didn't get before. Okay. All right. So is the bank giving you this information? Is the bank giving you this information? They could. The owners of the bank could. They could give you this information, but they're not. So are you required to tell them how you're going to treat their loan before you get it?
No. To be clear, I was saying, let's say I did this with Chase once. I presume it would piss off the investor, and so I mean, would there be any fear? So would it be harder to sell the loans if Chase Bank knows, well, this is a person who tends to pay their loan off faster? That's what I was thinking, but clearly that's not the case.
But Doc, that is something to think about, though. Nina, we're going to get you in here because I saw you come off mic. So, Doc, here's what they're talking about. When you have a mortgage-backed security, they know how many loans are in there. It's not just one loan. The investor is buying tens of loans or hundreds of loans or even thousands of loans in that mortgage-backed security. You see what I'm saying? And 90% of them. Okay. Now let me put it to you this way. 9 out of 10 people you know will never pay off a mortgage. How many people that you know who have a mortgage that actually paid it off? It'll be less than 10% of the people you know. I mean, you should start counting. Count it up. So, Doc, if we're in a system where over 90% of us are going to fail at what we intended to do, that means pay off this mortgage, and you pay off yours, is that really going to piss me off?
No, sir.
Do you see where we're going with this, ladies and gentlemen? Man, is this good stuff or what? Flame, what do you got to say about all this, man?
No, it's the way that you break it down, that you make it easier to comprehend to other people. And I think with them having this much information, now the decision making could be absolutely better. I mean, there ain't no denying. Like, I don't think there isn't could be any person in this room that could talk about what they learned or if they didn't learn, but how this can impact their life and how it can change the trajectory of what goes on in their household. So definitely, man, keep going up. Hard work, flowers while you're here. Appreciate the knowledge and appreciate the hard work in which you deliver.
Listen, Flame, thank you so very much. So listen, folks, we just went over each time you make a payment. Those are called that's the micro interest charges. The micro interest charges are the most expensive, meaning this: you're going to make every single one of these payments. Okay, we're going to drill down deep and if we look at it at a microscope, I want you to make every single payment for 360 payments. So as we take a look at it, all right, I want to make 531,000. That would be the end all be all. If I bought this, I could make $531,000 on my investment. Okay, that's the end all be all. All right, but I don't get all $531,000 up front. I get to add that to what I'm getting over time. So in the first year of the $531,000 I'm looking for, I've already received $26,000. If we look at the micro interest charges, I get $26,000 in the first year, okay, that I get to count towards. I get to credit towards the amount of interest I'm looking for. In year 2, I get to credit $52,000 towards that. You see what I mean? In year 3, now I get to credit $77,650 towards my goal of making $500,000 on your loan. So the longer you're in the loan, the more money I get to credit towards that $531,000 if I'm the investor. But when you start prepaying, you could start removing large chunks. Here's Doc. Here's what I'm looking for. So how much can I credit in the first year? Couture Fleming says, good stuff, brother, online. All right. Okay. We'll put that on the screen. Thank you, Couture. Robert Jeffries gives me like several flames. All right. Not just one, but several. All right. Thank you very much, Robert Jeffries, watching us on YouTube. Okay. Listen, Robert, I need you to help me out here. And I need y'all to pray for a brother, okay? Because there's nobody else online breaking it down like this. Nobody else online, okay? And here's the hard part. Here's the hard part. You may think I'm smart. You may think I came up with this all on my own. I'm going to tell you the absolute truth. Okay. And some of you may like it and some of you may not. But this information is revealed to me. All right. God blessed me with it, so I'm blessing you with it. Because there's no reason for me to know what I know about this. Nobody taught me. Where did it come from? It's just how my brain is wired. He gave it to me. I'm giving it to you. I didn't sit down and say, let me figure all this stuff out. That was not my goal. My goal was to try to live the best life I possibly could and have a little fun along the way. But now I got this information. I have to give it out. So that's what's going on here. So, ladies and gentlemen, so Doc, are you ready? Are you ready to help me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So, in the first year, the bank, the investor got all the money. They got the 26,140.59 and the 3,226.41. They got this one and this one. Okay. They got nearly $30,000. The investor got $30,000 of their money back. Okay. But how it's credited is, well, I got the 30,000, but I'm not subtracting that from the whole total that they owe. I'm only subtracting 3,226.41 from what they owe. That means they have to pay me a lot more times, correct? Watch this. So they get to credit $26,000 of that money towards the interest total that they're looking for, $531,000, correct? But if I give them this money, the $3,226.41 up front, I'm paid down to here in 1 month. From line one, so what they're looking for, Doc, is to reduce this loan from $350,000 to reduce the loan from $350,000 to $346,773.59. Normally, they would be able to credit to their side of the ledger $26,000, correct?
Correct.
If I give them this money up front and I'm paid down to here in 1 month, how much can they credit to their ledger, moving the loan from $350,000 to $246,000? How much interest can they credit to themselves if I do it this way? I'll make it easy for you. It's the interest on
521.
Nope, it's the interest on the first line.
Oh, okay.
So
2,187.
That's it. So to move the loan from 350 to 346, they wanted to put on their side of the ledger 26 grand. When you give that money to them up front, they can only credit to their side of the ledger $2,187.50. Now, here's my next question. Do you care that the investor only gets to credit $2,187 instead of $26,140? Do you care?
Yes.
No, sir. No, sir.
Miss Nina.
You care because you spent them less. You spent them less dollars. I care.
You care?
I want you to make less money, sir. I care.
I'm just not sympathetic. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay. see, listen, being precise in language, that's so important. Miss Nina, come on, girl. What do you have to say about all this stuff?
Well, I often talk to my clients about that. I often also encourage my clients to take a 30-year loan and then pay it off in 15 instead of trying to take out a 15-year loan and pay it and worry about that, because to your point, they don't really do anything. Your payments are higher because they're still going to try to collect as much interest as possible, even though it's a shorter period. So they just increase your principal payments, which makes your monthly payments higher over that 15-year period. So oftentimes I tell my clients, hey, if you can afford the higher payment that goes with the 15-year mortgage, take out the 30 and pay it off in 15, and you'll have actually a better result numerically in the end. And it gives you the safety net of, if you don't have it 1 month, right, you're not locked into that higher mortgage payment amount. You can pay what you know you can afford comfortably regardless.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me show you what Ms. Nina just talked about. Here's my 30-year payment here, okay? My 30-year payment is $2,447.25. We're going to put in, right next door, we're going to put in 180 payments. Okay, this is what she's talking about, 180 payments. Now your mortgage payment is $3,244.54 versus in the 30-year payment is $2,447.25. And I'm going to show it again for 15 years. It's $3,244.54. What she's saying is there any rule that says you can't make the $3,244.54 payment on your 30-year note? That's what she's saying. You don't need permission to have a 15-year mortgage. So, ladies and gentlemen, under the sound of my voice, if you see anybody getting ready to refinance just so that they can take their 30 to a 15, tell them, don't you believe it? Don't do it. Just figure out what the payment would be and start making it. You don't need permission. Miss Nina, did I tell them right?
Right. And also, like I said, it provides a cushion, right? Because that's $1,000 a month. So if you have a change in income, a life event where that would no longer be a comfortable payment, instead of you going back into the marketplace, trying to refinance your loan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you already have that money in your pocket, right? You could just stop paying the extra $1,000. Because again, your mortgage payment would be the lower amount, which is the $2,000.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's the other thing that she talked about, and I don't know if you caught it. She said that if you get the 30-year loan and make the 15-year payment, do you realize that what really is going on behind the scenes because of this? Here's what we're talking about. We got 0.075. Okay. I'm sorry. I put it in wrong. 0.075 divided by 12. This is the number that they use on all these loans, is 0.00625. Because they're using this to calculate, when you make a payment and they calculate your new interest, I need you to pay attention to what happens when you do the calculation. So we're going to multiply this. We're going to multiply this by 348,942.96 equals, do you see these numbers after the decimal? Do you see these numbers after the decimal? Do you see how it goes to 2180, 89, then you have the 35? When this 3 gets to 5 or above, they have to round up this number. They have to round up the number before it. If you have, now I've done this, you have to do it you have to do it for yourself. This is why I give people this tool. All right. This is how my brain works. If you have a 30-year mortgage and you break it down like this and start multiplying it every time you make a principal payment, then you have to take that 0.00625. You have to do that. If you have a 30-year loan and you make the 15-year payment, the rounding up goes faster. And what am I saying here? You're actually getting credited more towards principal faster on a 30-year loan making the 15-year payment than if you just had a 15-year mortgage, because the rounding acts differently. The rounding up of these numbers after the decimal. Now, it's not that much, but you can get further ahead. You can cut out more payments if you do that. Now, with my clients, we don't make 15-year payments. We do it a totally different way on how to get this thing done. All right? But I need you to understand what's going on behind the scenes. You never get to see these numbers after the decimal. You don't know what happens. You don't know what they're doing. It's all a math problem. And all I'm saying is, if you have this mortgage and the investor is getting all the money, listen, on this mortgage. So I just got to add it up. In the first year, you're paying out $26,140.59 goes to interest, plus the principal amount is $3,226.41 for a total of, I did it wrong. Shoot. I'm sorry. Okay. 226. All right. $26,140.59 plus, boom, $3,226.41 equals $29,367. That's how much money the investor received that year. $29,367. $29,367. The investor received all of that money. But the way that this thing works, if they can just credit you the small amount of principal, that means that you don't pay this down. You don't get that credited to how much you owe. You only get tiny amounts credited to how much you owe. All right, because your energy is wasted. Think of your money as energy. Okay, when you pay your money, how much of your energy do you want to work for you? It is the most inefficient way to pay back a loan on the planet is what we have with amortization schedules. Because your energy, which means the money that you're producing to put on something, this much goes, let's do the math. Let's do the math. How much goes to interest in the first month? $2,187.50. That's how much gets credited. Okay. So we're going to take that number, 2,187.5. 2,187.5. All right. And we're going to divide it by the total mortgage payment. When we divide it by the total mortgage payment of $2,447.25, it equals 89%. When you make a payment, 89% gets credited to interest, and only 11% gets credited towards principal. So 11% of your money gets credited towards principal. That means that they just reduce what you owe by just a little bit. And then you have more payments to make to get this payment, to get the payment down to get it down to zero. So where else? Listen, I'm taking myself all the way back to Michigan, all the way back to Howland Street, where I grew up. Okay, where my mother had 4 kids, raising them on her own, and in the wintertime. All right, and I left the door open. Okay. What did she tell? What can you hear it? Can you hear that? Can you hear the music?
Stop letting that heat up on my.
You said what you say? What you say, girl?
You better stop letting that heat up on my house.
I'm not
Probably followed by you don't pay no bills here.
exactly. I'm not trying to heat up outdoors. Listen, we are in a situation where we're not being shown and not being taught, where 90% of our effort is going up in smoke. It's like heating up the outside. Lord have mercy. Can you imagine of every dollar you put into your gas tank, only 11 cents went to actual gas and 89 cents went to gas tax. So you're out of every dollar, only 11 cents is going into your tank. Do you know it would cost you $200 or $300 to fill up your tank that way? Ladies and gentlemen, if we wouldn't stand for that for gas, why are we standing for this when it comes to our mortgages? So when I take a look at these are the micro payments. Let's take a look at the macro payments. Okay. The macro payments are these. If I can prepay this much, then I only have to pay them a small amount of interest instead of they get to credit this much I could do this in the first month if I had it. So I get to pay the loan down from $350 down to $346,000 in 1 month if I had it. Let's just say it takes me 3 or 4 months to build up my cash supply again. So I'm going to make the next 3 payments while I'm waiting to build up my cash again. I make the next 3 payments on time, just like the bank wants me to. And then I give them another $3,000 and knock off another year. Does this make sense to you? Because what I have, can you picture a ladder with 360 rungs on it? And every time you climb that ladder to get to where your destination, which is 0 payments, it costs you when you start out $2,187.50, $2,185.88. Let me show you the difference between the interest on line 1 and the interest on line 13. I got $2,187.50 in interest on line 1. How much interest do we pay on line 13? $2,167.33. What? I got $2,187.50.5 minus $2,167.33 equals, are you kidding me? $20.17. For this system that I'm showing you right here, to reduce the amount of interest that I'm paying each month down to $20.17, by $20.17, doing it the bank's way, I have to pay $28,307.92 in interest that gets credited to the investor just to lower my interest payment by $20.17. I think that's a crying shame that we don't know this. And that's why we're in these loans for 30 years instead of 7. Because of that. I only get to lower how much gets credited to me by $20.17 over 13 months. The difference between the $259 in principal and the $279.92 in interest is $20.17. Anybody else got anything to say about this? All right. D Page had to go. She said, thanks for the information. We appreciate D. Does anybody else have anything to say about this today? Come up to the stage. Doc, what do you think today? Did you get something out of this?
Absolutely, man. If this is what you do for free, man, what do you do for your clients?
Listen, I'm glad you asked. So we're going to go over that right now. So if you go to pillmethod.com, I mean ice10k.com, ice10k.com, there is a button there that says get a savings and earnings report. If you would like to know how we have what's called an opportunity cost calculator that takes all of your finances and all of the debt that you have, and it comes up with suggestions on how much money to move, what month to move it in, what day of the month to do it on, and which loan to attack. It's like financial GPS. If you want to know exactly what's going on, you can save the maximum amount of interest per dollar that you have to work with. I mean, you can increase the amount of interest that you are eliminating from this loan. That way, more money gets credited to principal, less money gets credited to interest. Therefore, you eliminate these loans in 7 to 9 years instead of 30 years to never. So you're not minimizing your monthly payment. You're just minimizing the number of times you have to make it. And if you want to know that, go to ice10k.com and click on that button that says get a savings and earnings report, and you can get that for free. So once you get that information, so once you submit that, then what's going to happen is my team is going to contact you and verify your numbers. Once those numbers are verified, then we will send you the savings and earnings report for free. If you want to know how to implement that and use our system to get there, then that's how you become one of our clients. Not only do you get superior coaching, but you get the only opportunity cost calculator in the world from us that does all of this math in just a few seconds and tells you exactly what to do. And there's no better way to get to the best loan possible. Well, the second best loan possible. You know what the best loan is, Doc? Where you pay no interest. That's the best loan, where you pay no interest. All your money goes to principal. The second best loan is this, and we offer this. The second best loan is the loan that you can get where you pay the least amount of interest that's mathematically possible for you. That's our goal. Not how fast to pay off the loan, but how cheap. With the P.I.L.L method, this is the cheapest way to pay off a loan by far. Nothing on the planet compares. Nothing. Any other thing you do, you're going to pay way more interest than you need to because we don't understand how it works. What do you say, Doc?
That sounds amazing, man.
All right. We got Credit Ninja on the stage. Credit Ninja, how are you doing?
I'm good. Good morning. Happy Sunday to you. Yeah, I love these conversations. I'm always about getting a discount. um, you know what? The people that really build out their networks and have some knowledge, they would never pay full price, right?
Right.
And I love these conversations right here. And I'm here to support. Just having my coffee. Been up since 3 a.m. I'm still jet lagged from Europe. So there we go.
Thank you very much for that, Credit Ninja. Terrence, I like it, Lynn. Listen,
Good morning.
Good morning, Terrence. Why did you come to the stage this morning, Mr. Terrence Boykin?
Sunday, just listening to this, thinking about my clients. Once I see how your system works for me, cannot wait to implement this. make it an option during our buyer seminars and our investor seminars.
Wait a minute. Wait a
Because I
minute.
really see this for my
Wait a minute. You said you're waiting to see how this program works for you. What do you mean? What do you mean how it works for you?
once I start getting results, because I am making payment plans right now to
So are you saying you're a Pill Method client?
yes, I am.
And are you satisfied with what you're receiving so far?
Yes, sir. Just the breakdown that you gave me on the amount of interest that I can save, um, and be able to now use that to buy my next investment property was amazing.
So, Doc, that's what we provide. We give you a whole system. I mean, you think this was a lot, okay? And most people think this is a lot. What we give out here is a lot, but we're just beginning to scratch the surface. Our clients come in and they get way more value than I could have time to give out on this show. Even over 260 shows. Even though we've given out a lot of information, our clients get way more value than this. So that's the answer to your question, Doc. You get more value. So, ladies and gentlemen, so here's what we're doing. I'm usually here for about 2 hours. Okay, we've given out a lot of information. I went over micro situations and macro. Macro means I can fix this thing so that the investor gets to get their money from me, not 360 times, but let's see how they can do it on like 84 times or 90 times or maybe 100 times. They get to charge me, but not 360 times. And all because we manipulate this part of the equation, the principal payment. So when people say, Don, why do you want to pay extra on your loan? Okay, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. You're not paying extra. You're paying what you owe. One more time. You're not paying extra. You're paying what you owe, but you're paying it in a way that benefits you instead of the investor. Because the principal that gets credited, see, that's how much I owe, $350,000. Okay, now, as long as I have that $350,000 and it's not credited to zero, I got to pay interest on that every single month. So I want to get it to zero as soon as I can so that I can stop paying the extra money that goes to interest. So I want to make my payment more efficient. I don't want 11% of my money going to get credited to principal. I want 90 and 88% and 87% of my money being credited to principal. That way, a lot less gets credited to the interest side of the ledger. Does that make sense? So I'm giving back what I owe. I'm not paying extra. I'm just giving back the $350,000 so that I don't have to give them $500,000 for the privilege. I don't want to pay them $531,000. I want to pay them a lot less than that. And by the time I'm done with it, ladies and gentlemen, by the time I'm done with this, okay, 531,000, okay? By the time I'm done with this, I want to pay them about $150,000 instead of the 531,000. Do you know what that means? That means a lot of money that they didn't receive so that you can have the same asset. You pay back the 350, but with only 150,000 in interest instead of the $531,000 in interest. Everybody else on the block is going to be paying that $500,000 in interest. Well, if you don't have to pay it, then could you then invest that money, the rest of that money, into your own family instead of giving it to the investors that bought your loan from Chase, from Wells Fargo? Would you rather put $350,000 into building wealth for you instead of building wealth for somebody else? You tell me. Go to ice10k.com, ice10k.com, and get a savings and earnings report today. Get it, fill it out today. Fill it out today. And if you heard some information that you dearly, dearly love today, did you know you can become a Pill Method affiliate and help me help others to watch the Pill Method videos? Go to the YouTube channel, go to YouTube and become a what is it? Not register. What is it called? I forgot already. Okay, what it's called? You want to join the Pill Method team. All right, go ahead and subscribe. That's the word I'm looking for. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and go to ice10k.com and you can become an affiliate of the Pill Method. Okay, by sharing the videos, and then finding people who you can refer to us. We're going to show you how to do all of that. We will pay you for getting people to watch our videos. How would you like to make between $300,000 and $3,000 a month? Just encouraging someone who wants to do better about their loans to watch these videos that we put up for free. And we'll pay you to do that between $300,000 and $3,000 a month. How would you like that? All right. Go to ice10k.com, ice10k.com, and sign up to become an affiliate. It's absolutely free and it takes about 15 seconds. Okay. Ice10k.com, the link at the top. Okay. The link at the top. And become an affiliate. All right. And also, let me put this on the screen. All right. That way people who are watching can look at this. All right. I see some people coming in now. All right. ice10k.com. All right, there it is, ice10k.com. And you go here and click on that little button to become an affiliate. It takes this long. I need the name, I need a phone number, I need an email address, and just tell me how you want to get paid. Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, or PayPal. That's it. There's nothing to pay. Okay? All right, to become an affiliate. And I give out the instructions all the time online. We also have trainings. All right. And our first training for an affiliate is only $24.95. $24.95. And we teach you how to make between $300,000 and $3,000 a month. That's it. All right. So the other thing you want to do is go back to the 10K card, and here's a button that says buy my book. Go ahead and buy the book. Start learning the background on all of this information. Start learning the background on it. All right. How you can manipulate this whole thing by knowing what is really going on with your whole mortgage payment that goes to a real estate investor. How you can increase how much money gets credited to your side of the ledger so that they can charge you fewer times. Okay. We're going to show you how to maximize all of that. It starts with my book. All right. And then, so remember, get a savings and earnings report. Here is, when you scroll down, here's the savings and earnings report button right here. Get your savings and earnings report. Start filling it out. Oh, somebody just sent one in. Thank you very much for sending it in. I appreciate you for that. All right. So fill this out. There it is. Boom. That's step one. All the instructions are here, and then it'll let you into step two. Put your information in, and then my staff will give you a call and then verify your information. Once it's verified, you can get this savings and earnings report for free. If you'd like our opportunity cost calculator and become part of our coaching program, then it's a one-time payment for life, depending on which program you get. It's a one-time payment for life, and it's guaranteed for life. What does that mean? We're going to show you how much interest you're going to save on whatever. If you have one mortgage, two mortgages, three mortgages, or 10, however you come to us, we're going to tell you how much interest you can save on those mortgages. All right. And when it makes sense for you to cash out refi, if you're an investor or if you're a home buyer, when you could actually be done with all of your debt. We guarantee those numbers. And if we don't meet those numbers and you following our program, we give you all of your money back. It's the only lifetime guarantee on the planet. Well, how can it be a lifetime guarantee if I have a 30-year mortgage and your program says I can pay it off in 8.7 years? How's that a lifetime? Well, what if you buy another home? I got to guarantee that one too. And then on the third one, I got to guarantee that one too. On the fourth one, on the fifth one, however many homes you have or whatever you buy after that, you run it through this program, I will guarantee those results as long as you're using the program for life. If the program ever fails, we give it to you in writing. Even if you're paying off your 10th home and the program goes haywire and we can't fix it, all of your money back, even though you've already saved millions of dollars in interest you don't have to pay. This program will always be there for you. We promise. And we give it to you in writing. And we have other people in the audience that are P.I.L.L method clients. All right. And they'll tell you the same thing. They're actually getting more value than what they paid for. It's amazing. It's amazing what you can learn about this. I'm going to finish up here now, folks. I have just a couple of minutes left. And so what I'm going to do now is share with you what E.T., the hip hop preacher, has to say about this program. And I want to say goodbye to you. And then we're going to come back here on Wednesday with more valuable information. I have to let everybody go online in 2 hours. But for everybody here in Clubhouse, I'm going to be back so that we can maybe continue the conversation. All right. But for everybody online, we have to let go in 2 hours. So here we go. Dr. Eric Thomas, what do you have for us today?
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.